I call this meeting to order at 7:01 p.m. Let's take roll. Commissioner Ion. Here. Commissioner Caleb. Here. Commissioner Chloe. Here. Commissioner Ellie. Here. Commissioner Harrison. Here. Commissioner Yasser. Here. Commissioner Joe. Commissioner Justin. Present. Commissioner Mason. Here. Commissioner Maya. Here. Commissioner Jameson. Here. Commissioner Sammy. Commissioner Sophie. Here. Commissioner Benite. Staff liaison Gracie is not here, but
Lauren, council. Yeah.
Let's motion to approve the minutes from last meeting.
The motion to approve minutes from last meeting.
I second.
Aye. Chloe. Aye. Ellie.
Aye.
Yasmin. Aye.
Aye.
Sophie. Aye. Harrison. Aye. Justin.
Aye.
Caleb.
Aye.
And Mason.
Aye.
If everyone can speak up a little bit, we want to make sure the people on our call can hear everyone.
And then we open this meeting up for public comments. So then we will move on to the order of new business, which is the Parks and Recreation Master Plan discussion. The recommended action is that the Youth Commission hears from MIG consultants Lauren, Scott, and Lauren Ivy Thomas, commissioners and consultants, to discuss various focus group questions regarding a vision for parks, priorities, engagement, and community support, and being a youth voice for the youth of Campbell.
Awesome. So we can start.
Yes.
Okay, great. Well, thank you for letting us join your commission meeting this evening. I believe it's your last commission meeting of the year, so we're very excited to have gotten on your agenda. I'm Lauren Ivy Thomas. I'm a licensed landscape architect and a certified city planner, and I specialize in parks and recreation master planning. And I am the project manager from MIG, the consulting firm MIG, on Campbell's first comprehensive parks and recreation master plan. Let Noe and Lauren introduce themselves. Go ahead, Noe.
Hi, folks. Thank you so much for allowing us into your space a little bit. This is really awesome. I think all of us get really excited when we're talking to young people, especially young people such as yourselves, you know, taking care of business. So looking forward to getting into this with you.
Hi, everyone. Again, thanks for having us. I'm Lauren Scott, also with MIG.
Excellent. So, this Parks and Recreation Master Plan will be about a 14-month process, and we're right at the beginning of it. We're starting what is our needs assessment, which is we're looking at the existing supply of parks and recreation facilities. We've identified stakeholders, key leaders, and the Youth Commission was one group in particular that we knew that we wanted to talk to. The eventual goal of this master plan is to create a list of priorities for the city to pursue when it comes to parks and recreation, identify areas that need to be improved, create plans for the future, and create a holistic strategy for how the city is going to move forward with its parks and recreation facilities, as well as programs for the next 10 to 20 years. So tonight, the goal is that we have some questions, and no, I want to verify. Can you share your screen?
I'm not able to share a screen. It says disabled. So
I can, let's see.
Wait, security.
There you go. Can you try that now?
sure. Yes, thank you.
Okay, cool. So awesome. So tonight, what we're going to go through is we have specific questions that we want to ask you, but we're also really flexible into how we're going to kind of move through this. But essentially what we're asking is 4 different realms of questions. And we want you to answer these questions from the perspective of you. So youth, members of the Campbell community, parks and recreation users of Campbell. We're going to ask you about your visions for parks and recreation in the city, what priorities you may have, engagement and community support, who should be involved in this master planning process, and then finally, what is that perspective from you? So those are the broad 4 categories that we're going to walk through. Okay, so we've introduced ourselves. We would love for you to start with our first question with introduce yourself and then describe the Campbell Park and Recreation System in 1 to 2 words.
Lauren, did you want each individual to introduce themselves and each individual will respond? Okay.
Yes, please.
Sophie and Harrison, do you want to move your chairs over here so that you can be seen as well?
No, you're gonna.
Yeah.
Fine. All right.
Yeah, if you want to come on over here, that way you can not have your neck all up. If Samita, do you want to also move or are you good where you're at? Totally up to you. Okay. All right.
So I'm Chloe, the chair of the Youth Commission. And I would describe the city's park and recreation system. I think for one, it's beneficial. Like I totally use the facilities here at the Campbell Community Center and then also all of our parks in the area. And I think they're fun. Like I personally live right by the Campbell Park and that was just redone recently. And if anyone else would like that, maybe let's go around.
All right, so hi, my name's Ion. I'm the vice chair, and I think I would describe the city's parks and recreation system as very open to the public. Because the public can have their events in the park and it's just a generally open space.
I'm Harrison. And I'll describe it as an engaging to have so many different opportunities amongst different events.
I'm Maya. Mine kind of ties into a lot of what's been said, but I'm very welcoming and fun, and it like facilitates a lot of engagement with different types of people.
Real quick before you go. Lauren, can you hear us okay with everyone?
That was pretty good.
That was pretty good.
Harrison was great. And then I think it was Maya who went next. And
Yes.
Sorry.
if you could just repeat what you said.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's very welcoming and fun, and it facilitates a lot of engagement between different types of people.
Awesome.
My name is Mason. I would call it abundant because there's a lot of different, it's like, I guess, opportunities to do different kinds of stuff.
Hi, I'm Caleb. I'd say it's underused because I see all people coming there, old people, young, children, they can do everything that they want. But the thing is that I just don't think enough people come. I guess that's why we're here today.
My name is Justin, and I believe it's more like a multi-use facility because like there are so many different things that people can do there. They can play sports, they can relax with their friends, their family. So it's really interesting.
My name is Samhita, and I would say it's like vibrant because there's always a lot of activity going on.
My name is Yasmin, and I agree with most commissioners when they say that Parks and Recreation facility is very full of opportunities and very open to people.
Yeah, I agree with basically the rest of the commission. I think that, oh, sorry guys. My name is Ellie, and I would describe it as having a lot of opportunities, especially like the theater that we have. I know, I mean, they host a ton of productions every year. I've performed on it. It's a really great facility.
My name is Sophie, and I would describe it as wholesome and cozy because all of Campbell is like all of our events are targeted towards like not only young people or not only people of a certain age. Like young kids can come to most of all our events, as well as like stuff for teens, like job fairs and that stuff. And then like also a lot of events for older adults, like the classes that you have at the parks, as well as like cozy because it feels really close knit and like connected.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Did everybody go?
Yeah.
Excellent.
Thank you so much. It's really heartening to hear all of your descriptions, and you all know this community and your park system, having, I assume, grown up here, or certainly more familiar than we are. And that's why we're here. We want to crowdsource some information. So the next question is, you already touched on this a little bit, but I think we want to dive a little bit more about young people and what their values are. What is it about, what do young people value about Parks and Recreation in Campbell, and just really Parks and Recreation in general? What's important to you?
I'm Chloe, again, the chair. I think that a lot of us would share a value of that we want to do more with the Parks and Recreation, which is why we are here as a committee. But I would say that a lot of our goals, or just my personal goals, are to meet other people. So engagement, so meeting other people our age, because something that I myself feel and a lot of people here have shared as well, is there's not a lot of stuff for teens in Campbell to do to meet one another. And then also just sort of a safe space for teens in our community as well is really important.
Yeah, go
So-
ahead.
I would also say like social connection and gatherings with friends, just like hanging out with a lot of people, as well as like finding yourself with like new interests and being able to share those interests with other people.
Sure, exploring, kind of understanding other communities, others.
Let's go the opposite direction this time.
But we don't all have to answer each question. I think from this point on, we can just be conversational about it, if that's okay.
Okay.
Yeah. You guys can come back to me.
I think it's like a really great place for families to like connect with each other and have activities, picnics and gatherings.
I agree with Sophie on social connections, and a lot of people, you know, come play at the park with their friends, and just like a nice place to have.
One other thing, it's also good for your physical well-being because there are many different activities that you could engage in that will help you attain to a better physical standard.
I
Absolutely.
think everything that everyone has said has made sense, but I think the core of what all they're talking about though is the park being an open slate, because A, if the park is accessible, and then B, if it has everything that a person wants, there's no reason why a person wouldn't go. That's why you see people gather there, because they can have a good time and everything's accessible to them.
You all mentioned safe spaces and accessible and playing and sociability. What about like your sort of development, I think one of you earlier talked about not resumes, but you talked about study or social your career development almost, right? At this point, is this a place where you feel that you can go and do, or is that important to young people to go and sort of get into programs that help you later on in life, that help you develop?
I can touch on this. I know about, of course, like there's the Campbell Youth Commission as part of Parks and Rec, and then also like the summer camps that are held in Campbell. A lot of older people can come and either work at them or be like leaders in training. And I think that's a great way to provide like job opportunities or like working experience, and then also give back to the community and like kind of the younger youth in Campbell. I was also gonna say, I think Campbell's pretty like divided among school districts at least. So to be able to have a space where like a bunch of youth can get together and like meet other youth in Campbell who may not go to your school because like the school systems are kind of spread out and cut up like within the city itself. I think that's also a great thing.
So you get to, I'm sorry, you just to clarify, you get to interact with people from other schools. Is that what you said? Okay, thank you. Go ahead, sorry.
To add to what Maya said, I also think that the Youth Commission has done a really great job this year connecting like all the businesses with the youth. Like through our job fair, a lot of people were able to find like good job opportunities when before they didn't really know where to look. So if you're talking like career wise, like that first step is like always really the hardest part.
Yeah, and I guess maybe it's not just career wise, but it's about, I think one of you mentioned, exercising. It's about kind of the emotional side of connecting with friends and meeting new people. But it's also just the personal development that maybe people might have at these places, whether it's through, again, role modeling, jobs, other things that might come into play here that would help develop young people.
Does anyone have anything else they'd like to share? Okay, I think we're all good.
Okay. All right. So in terms of your priorities, as Lauren mentioned, one of the key things that that we're trying to establish here are priorities for the long term, for the next 10, 15, 20 years for Parks and Recreation in Campbell. And so from your perspective, what are the most pressing needs and improvements necessary for Parks and Rec programs? And within that, which ones are those that the kind of key needs, the key opportunities, key improvements that young people would want?
I think a lot of us feel that we'd like teens to be more integrated in our community. And I think a big part of this too for the Parks and Rec is the communication with schools, because unfortunately a lot of teens are not checking the Campbell website. But that doesn't mean that they're not interested in these events. They just need a more accessible way to hear about them. So school announcements, school emails, that sort of stuff would be really great.
So communications, integration better with the school districts and with the schools, actually several districts. Yeah, others?
Oh, I also think since we've already talked a lot about like how important safe spaces are to like teens and stuff, having, for example, like cleaning up those spaces, like maybe like the patios of the restaurants or just like hiking trails in general, like cleaning them up would like encourage a lot more people to go out more with their friends, which is like good for your physical well-being, but as also like your mental well-being and like your social emotional development.
Other priorities? That can't be it.
Something that we can all think about the subcommittees that we have, because we all thought that that was very important and what each of those groups might represent for talking about this. But something that we had to, which Sophie briefly touched on, was just mental health within our community, especially regarding teens, and maybe having, like, we hosted a mental health and physical health day at the Campbell Community Center, where people were able to gather and we had different mental health resources. More stuff like that, I think, is very important.
Okay, so more, again, just, social development, personal development. Think back when you were younger, when you were, school age. What do you wish you would have had, right? What would have been really cool to have in Campbell?
Right. I want to just I want to add a little bit to that question. And so I guess another way to ask this is, what is the park system not providing for you? Are there activities that you can't do that you want to be able to do in a public accessible space?
Yes, so like maybe more interactive things, like for teens, there's like things that can bring them in more as like a wholesome group, and that would more or less like guide them in a sense.
Do you have something specific in mind, or something that you've seen somewhere else?
Nothing too specific, no.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, go ahead.
I could build on that, and that at least a few years back, I remember the programs that we offer at the community center, and I'm not sure if you guys are involved in this or not, but that they were catered to a very strange age group. So like that middle age of like 15 to 17, there weren't very many classes for them to join. So I think, just like Justin's talking about, getting more programs could be the courses and classes offered at the community center.
Also, what Campbell doesn't offer that I feel like me especially and a lot of other teams would love would be like something like job shadowing, because it's hard to find like adults with a job that you want to have one day, and like they're willing to like take you under their wing maybe for just like a day, because if you don't have connections, it's really hard to find people outside of your family, or maybe your family doesn't have that job specifically.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I hear that, and we see this kind of constantly in other places where there are certainly a lot of programs for smaller kids, right? School age kids. And then it's almost like once you get to be like 14 or 15, like, oh, they're good. They'll be on their way. But the truth is, we've also heard a lot of what you just said. If the 14, 15, 16, 17-year-olds are also looking for places to go and things to do, and especially, like you said, some things that help develop them into the next career, the next phase of. Anything else here?
think that maybe, like more access to sports, because I know a lot of sports are kind of locked behind a paywall. I think that like opening that up teams in the city would be really useful, because I know we already have a lot of resources over here, like the baseball diamond. I know we have like a soccer field, football field. I think that could be achievable. Yeah.
Did you say that there was a paywall? Like it's too expensive?
No, like, cause like most to play soccer at like or play any sport, I guess at this kind of level as like youth, it's kind you have to pay for it. So I think having like more access to some kind of like those free resources and just like hang out with other people and also play like a sport like soccer, baseball together, that would be really useful.
I think if I clarify, I think like leagues specifically in parks. So in recreation and community services, we used to have pre-COVID an adult basketball league. So I think those types of leagues by being offered in recreation make it more accessible for teens, because especially programs through private industry or different competitive leagues, I'm sure cost a lot of money, even being a part of the schools, I would assume. Is that what you're getting at?
Yeah.
Yeah. So leagues specific, like teens, leagues specific to teens through our department.
Rec leagues, basically. Yeah.
Yeah, rec leagues, yeah. And Ellie had something to add.
Yeah, just touching upon like what Sophie was talking about, with the job shadowing. One of the things that my school does is they'll invite like speakers from like these professional industries to come talk to the students and kind of like give them a glimpse of like what it's like to work in the professional world, and kind of get them inspired about their careers. So I think one thing that maybe Campbell would also implement is, like having these events for teens, where we can invite like people to just talk about their jobs and get, like the teams more inspired about their careers and their future.
One thing that, yeah, go ahead, please.
I was gonna say, a lot of the time for older teens, I feel like it's harder to explore like interests in a group manner, because a lot of the times when people get older, they kind of get locked into like one or two or like just kind of few activities or hobbies. So if there's like an organized way to have programs that can like introduce older people to different activities, that'd be great. Like organized pickup games, or like I know previously there was a pottery program, but it was definitely for like 9 to 12 as opposed to like 14 to 18 kind of, and it would be more welcoming if there was like a separate program specifically for older teens looking to pick up a few new skills.
Great. Yeah, absolutely. Introducing people to new things, new opportunities. I remember one of the things I learned a lot was just getting out to outdoor pursuits was, my introduction to kind of trails. And that really got me on a lifelong kind of path of exploring nature. So that was a program I think started. Anything else? Anything else in terms of the needs? If not, we can move on.
I wanted to add that I feel that a lot of high schoolers, they need to get volunteer hours done, and perhaps having maybe just like an organization or program through the community center that is focused on volunteering for high school students, maybe like 7th, 8th grade, middle school students as well, would most likely be very beneficial. And I do feel that we would have a lot of people interested in it, because like you need to do it for school, it's a requirement.
Yeah, absolutely. Looking for just a place for them to go and volunteer would be perfect. Well, I mean, there has been a lot of talk about different opportunities, different ways that you already have a lot of things here. And so we want to see where you see the opportunities. Where and what are the biggest opportunities for parks, for recreation programs, and facilities, trails, events, anything else that you can think of as an opportunity. We should do this, we should leverage that. What are some thoughts that come to your mind?
I'm sorry, do I go? You're good. Okay, I feel like this year, a lot of our social events were like a big success. The only thing is that we advertised at school a lot, and so did like the Campbell websites, but still a lot of people didn't know. And when like people were talking about it after, so many kids were like, oh, I wish I was there too. And so if we hosted like more like 1 day events, just like on the weekends, such as like job fairs and like the wellness days, I feel like it would be really popular and like a fun way for people to connect.
Sure. The role as a convener is always an important one for cities, and especially for recreation programs. Sure.
I think
Any other?
was that Chloe or Sophie who just said that?
I'm Sophie.
Oh, well, I think something that I appreciated, I think you said it earlier, could have also been Chloe though, was communication through schools. So just to clarify, were you saying that like these successful events that you've had were probably more successful because it was advertised through the schools in addition to advertised through like the city's recreation website? Like,
yeah, each commissioner was supposed to like advertise around school, and we definitely put up all the flyers. Like,
okay.
I know for my school personally, I contacted the principal to see if he could put it on like our morning announcements. But if there was more outreach on like the administration level, because sometimes like teachers don't really listen to the students, like it'd be easier to get people to sign up.
Awesome. And yeah, I mean, you're trapped at school, right? Like you have to go to school. So we can get information out that way with our captive audience of youth.
Other thoughts?
Location wise, I would say the Los Gatos Creek Trail is like a big opportunity, and I know a lot of people utilize that. Like, all of the Campbell Fun Runs are held there, and so many people show up to those. So I just think keeping it like a very pretty, clean, safe space for people to use for running or just like hanging out with their friends. It's just a big connecting location, like in the very central part of Campbell.
Along those lines, are there other specific locations that you would say, oh wow, we need to use that? I'm gonna give you a hint. You've been talking about schools a lot. Can schools be better utilized or better partnered with?
I think they could be. I'm having trouble like envisioning what that would look like, but I guess inter-school connections or like I know some schools hold like college fairs, but they're open like exclusively to their students. So if there was like a district wide or like a cross district, like every school in Campbell, every student could attend and like visit one school location for like things like a specific college fair or like a career center that was open to not just those students, but like all students at Campbell. That would be a great resource.
Yes, another thing for schools, and we were just discussing schools, that could be like, schools could prove more of a factor in this like outreach program. Because many students are more engaged with the school than they are with like the community center. And so hosting events with the school, it would garner more support for that event.
Okay.
Promo events.
So I think all of these are kind of opportunities and solutions that you all are talking about. But think along those lines. If you had the magic wand, what would be your solution? What would be your strategy? How could you, make the things that you've been talking about? What would those be? What are some ideas?
This is a little bit off topic from what they were all mentioning. But I know that at the Campbell Park, and I believe John D. Morgan as well, the basketball courts are very utilized. And so perhaps creating more courts at like the Campbell Park, maybe a volleyball thing, just more sports oriented things, because those are very, very used by the teens in our community. Like I regularly hear about it in my interactions with my peers. That sort of thing would be great.
To add to that, John D. Morgan is like a really good place to add a lot of sports equipment, because not only do teen groups go practice there, but a lot of like club sports go practice. And maybe if like the grass is like a little bit more well maintained, because personal experience shows that there's like a lot of divots in the grass there, like people would be more inclined to like go exercise there without the fear of like breaking their ankle.
That's never a good thing. Okay. anywhere outside of the city that you go to, say, San Jose, or that you have to go elsewhere to, because it doesn't exist in Campbell?
I mean, I would say the only thing is the library, but that's currently being renovated here. But I know, especially for a lot of us high school students during finals time, I will have to go to the one in downtown San Jose.
Yeah, it's a lot driving to other libraries, especially the Express Library is great for checking out books, but if you're in need of a study space, I don't think it quite does the job.
So
Oh.
study space is at a premium here. That's an important thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually that I was actually going to exactly ask that. So for those study spaces, and are you able to use like your school facilities, or is it really on you guys to go and find study spaces after school hours are over?
Over the weekend, it's on us. After school, I know most schools are open. It's just like not a very, I know most people don't enjoy staying at school. They find themselves
Fair.
much more productive if they're able to leave that space that they've been in for the past 6 hours and find just like a new area to have like a new state of mind and like lock in for studying in the afternoon.
Also,
And-
most of the time, our school's libraries are taken up by tutoring after school, like every day. So if you're not there to be tutored, you either have to be by yourself, like really quiet. And so it's really, really hard to host study groups there. And a lot of our school's libraries are very small.
In addition to like after school studying or having a space where you can focus academically, do you guys see an opportunity for, I think the word that's coming to my mind is like rental space, right? Like having an opportunity to go to a library to study for finals. Do you think there's any opportunity for like youth clubs? Do you think that there would be like youth clubs or youth societies in Campbell that would also want to have these spaces for gathering?
What do you mean by clubs? Like sports clubs or like recreational, like hobby-based clubs?
I was thinking like recreational, like either hobby-based clubs or maybe there's student organizations that want to meet outside of school, if that's even a possibility.
I think I really like that idea, actually, if like multiple teens are thinking the same idea of wanting to create like a hobby group of different types of people with the same interests, maybe they could like find an adult or somebody working in Parks and Recreation and then like sign up to create a club, similar to how in like high school and college, you can find a teacher moderator and then register as an official club. And then, but if you are able to do that within the city, it has a lot more reach and impact. And then also like those programs could officially sign up to use spaces, even like reserve, I don't know, basketball courts at John Morgan Park or specific study rooms in the library and block off those times. And it's just like a very official community, but it's also like organized and many people are able to connect through that.
To add to that, would it be possible to use spaces at the community center? Like this room that we're in is like big enough to host study groups. And I know there's like a lot of other rooms like on the weekends that are free or after school maybe.
You know, the possibilities are limited only by money. Right? And that's kind of, you led us right into the next step, which is the community center. And I think that you all have a very unique circumstance in Campbell, and the community center. Well, it's a campus, it's built, but it's also sorry?
You cut out there a little bit. Can you repeat that last part?
No, I was just going to say that the community center is a former high school. It's a campus. It's all together. It's very unique as far as a community center goes, but it's also aged, right? And so there are going to be investments needed. And so these are kind of two questions that we have for you together. It's a little more technical, but I'm sure you've all been talking about these things and are well aware of these issues. But in essence, the question one is, from your perspective, which for managing parks and rec opportunities, That's question one. And question two is this question about the community center and pool. This is going to require a substantial investment. Do you think this should be a funding priority given, the things that you just said? And what would you like to see here? What improvements would you like to see? So, two-headed question there for you.
So you see the first question is under funding. Yeah, the second question there. You were breaking up a little bit again, but just to clarify, the question under funding is the first question, and the question under the community center and pool is the second one.
Right. What are the funding priorities, and what should we do with a community center and pool?
I would say that something that would really help with what we're talking about, like a safe space for teens to organize, would maybe be putting some funding into an art space, perhaps like a 3D printer, sewing classes, like different sort of stuff that teens or anyone could come to the community center and use.
Like a maker space.
Yeah, a maker space for sure.
A technology maker space kind of thing. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, and I know that I'm lucky. I have access to a college that I can use, but a lot of we have rooms for making music, that sort of stuff, but a lot of high school students don't have that opportunity. And I think things like that within our community center would be amazing.
Great.
Another good investment, I think, would be like a sports shed. If there could be accessible different sports gear that people could use and maybe check out at a time with, I don't know, a card or a sign-up sheet. Of course, being held accountable for bringing it back, still useful, but having access to different sport equipment where you don't have to spend your own money to buy it, just to use it maybe free time, that would be a great way to get into new activities.
Sure.
Another thing would be renovating the facilities. I know that there are a lot of bathrooms on site, and some the sinks, they're decaying, stalls are decaying. And it's just, if anything, just renovate a lot of the things that people constantly use here.
Okay, so just renovation in general. Okay.
Yes, I know on weekends, there are a lot of people that come here for youth soccer or just anything in general. So then a lot of people are using facilities, and it helps popular support, and the facilities are nice.
Just a quick time check. How much time, we can ask you questions all night, but I just want to check how much time do we have here for us?
I think we were planning till about 7:45. So
okay.
That's really, yeah.
All right, great. So anything else on the community center or just funding priorities?
Like we said before about study spaces, funding wise, I'm not sure, do people have to rent these rooms here to be able to use them?
So we have a whole rental policy in place that, is specific to Campbell residents, non-residents, nonprofits and whatnot. So
maybe if there's enough funding, once a week, you could have a couple hours where people could sign up on a website or a Google form. If they need a big project in here to do for school or study groups, right before finals, especially.
Okay. So the other thing here is youth input and youth leadership and just engagement and support. So, we obviously want to reach young people, and young people are notoriously hard to reach. But it's just so great to see all of you participating. But, how can we promote more leadership with young people? Or, how can we better integrate these voices of young people? What would you suggest?
I think that one thing could be surveys for youth that you could send to schools, and then they can post it on their website to do it, or the bulletin. And then I think that would give you guys some input on what youth want apart from just us.
Another thing is it's really empowering to see that when you want changes made, if they're actually put into effect. Because if a lot of people are saying one thing and they're not seeing it, it makes them feel not very heard, and it's not encouraging them to put their voices out there because they don't think it makes a difference. But if we see changes sooner rather than later, it's really encourages people to share their ideas more.
Yeah, so you're talking about quick fixes. You're talking about the lowest hanging fruit, like make some changes happen that are quick and easy to make, right? Yes, agreed.
I completely
Others?
agree. I completely agree with Sophie that seeing the impact will definitely make more people inspired to want to do impact. And I think a great way to do this is, for example, maybe next term, the youth commission, they were to partner with you guys and do something that we could share about it online or on the newspaper, because it's showing that this is a possibility and therefore inspiring more people.
Some of the folks that haven't said anything that you want to jump in and say? That haven't anything, I just want to make room for everybody here. It's not always easy. Also, don't want to put you on the spot like I just did, but you know. No, okay.
No, if after the meeting, some ideas or whatnot come,
Yeah.
I'm sure they can share it with me and then I can
Yes.
pass also along with you, because I know this is an ongoing conversation and there's going to be
Absolutely.
more opportunities and community meetings that, of course, even though your term will be over, would love all of their input and participation.
We have your emails. Yeah, absolutely. The last question is really this one is, and this is a big one, is really about what demographic groups, critical populations, or areas of the city need to be better, need to have better opportunities or access to parks and rec programs. Where are the gaps? How can we reach people that
Any specific populations you can think of that it might not as easily access our programs or parks?
Maybe families altogether. Because like all of our events are focused on very specific age groups. Like you have stuff for like ages 4 to 10 and then 12 to 15 and then like 50 to 75. But you don't really have like things a family can do all together. Like if there's like a family cooking class that like adults could share their recipes and then a whole family could make it together, that would be really fun because you don't feel like as divided, and then as a family you could bond more.
And also for like students who don't speak English as their first language, maybe classes for them. And I'm sure you have classes for Spanish speakers, but I know there are some Russian speakers and yeah.
Great, yeah. People that don't speak the language, sure.
Yeah.
I
Think
also
you,
think that,
yeah, go ahead, sorry, go ahead.
I think that people like, just picking off that first idea, people like different age gaps. Yeah, just I think we should have some programs that are open to everyone, not just specific ages.
Huh?
Harrison, were you gonna say?
I was just thinking more of the people that live in more dense gridlock communities, and I know a great way that we've combat this is doing community-wide block parties.
Mm,
Very cool.
there you go. I like that line of thinking, for sure. Did you say community block parties?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, like hot August nights or things of that nature, that would be good to encourage neighborhood development, neighborhood kind of unity. Okay.
Transportation. Sorry.
What's that?
I was gonna say transportation wise, having like maybe clearer bike paths or specific like skateboard or scooter racks and bike racks kind of placed like around the city could make it a lot more welcoming for people who don't want to drive around in cars or who don't have access to that, to like get around to places, especially make it to the community center and feel safe to leave their gear like anywhere with a lock.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, we're a little bit past 7:45, but do you all have any questions for us?
I wanted to add about this last point here as well, that all these events that we're talking about, I think it would be really great if we didn't just have them in the community center. Like just like Harrison was saying, with the dense areas, if we utilized all the different parks that we have rather than just the one here, that would be amazing.
Yeah, spread the love a little bit. Yeah, go ahead.
I have a
So
question for you guys. What is your plan for Campbell, like your biggest goals in like the next 10, 15 years?
Lauren,
We don't, I know.
Which,
Ooh,
which,
Lauren Ivy Thomas. You're putting me on the spot there. Well, we don't have those yet. So you are literally the first non-staff group that we've met with for this whole planning process. Like the only individuals we've met with are the recreation director, public works director, and we really want to build a community-based plan. And so we don't have that big vision yet. We're literally just starting that process of teasing out what different interest groups are interested and excited about. But if I had it my way, it would be a really inclusive and accessible system where folks can not only physically get to where they want to be to recreate, but also feel like they're wanted there. So, but I feel like that's for every city.
yeah, I would echo that and say that for me personally, Parks and Rec served me in so many ways that are still to me very personal, very, still serving me to this day. It laid a foundation not only from sports, as some of you mentioned, but I got tired every day and I learned teamwork and coaching and all that stuff. But then also there was meal programs, there was karate programs, there was tutoring, there was just a place for me to go and meet friends. So all these needs were really satisfied through parks programs. And I think that there are a lot of things that role to me is one of the things that I like doing these kinds of plans, because it seems like you can really help a lot of people by having a really strong, kind of effective and dynamic program in your city. So anything else? Any other question for us?
So I had kind of an interesting question. It might be off topic, but I was very curious about like your opinion on art around the town, like specifically graffiti, but it's like very expressive and beautiful. Like, is that kind of welcome in the city, or is it much better to like have a permit and kind of create a mural like in an organized sense, or if graffiti should be like shut down, or that expression is like considered decorating the city and like a very beautiful thing?
Yeah, I mean, art programs are always an important component of cityscapes, and it really is about, like what Lauren said, it's what does the community want? Is that something that you would advocate for, right? Because one person's graffiti is another person's art, and so it's really about the kind of thing that you want to see in your parks, in your programs. I mean, murals are a huge thing. You have a lot of walls at minimum, right? So what do you think is I think the better question?
I mean, I personally really like seeing murals on open walls. We recently were notified about the creation of a mural along the wall that used to be Rocket Biz, and that just really excited me. So I'd love to see more of that.
Great, fantastic. Well, we know we've taken a lot of your time. We really appreciate it. We hope that we can see you again. And of course, thank you so much for your community commitment, for your participation. I could only see really good stuff happening here for you all in the future. Appreciate you all.
Absolutely. And I just want to reiterate that we are at the very beginning of this project process. And so it sounds like many of you, or if not all of you, your term is closing now for your youth commission. But we want to use your kind of connections within the city of Campbell, specifically towards youth, as we are going to do an online community questionnaire. There's going to be some pop-up events, community workshops that will be advertised through the city's recreation department. So just keep an eye out for those. Spread the word if you have friends or family or neighbors who would be interested in attending those types of events. And like, I'm sorry, I'm blanking on your name, sitting next to Harrison. Harrison's right. Yes, Maya. Maya, I think like your point right there, just bringing up art, that's phenomenal. And so there's going to be many more opportunities to provide input on things that we haven't even necessarily asked you. So please continue to keep an open mind, be creative, and be excited. We were all commenting on how amazing it is that like you guys are doing this on a Monday
Yeah.
night as youth.
Yeah, absolutely. Good job.
Thank you.
Thank you, folks. Have a great night.
Thank you all so much.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
So we'll move on to our next order of business, which is the roundtable review of the 2023 to 2024 term. The Youth Commission will go around the room for a final recap of their experience this past term. We'll start. So,
Okay, I really enjoyed working here with everyone, and I think it's given me a better sense of, number one, what it takes to like organize and host events and how much work like the city actually puts into everything that they do. And also the amount of leadership and like time and organization and communication skills that everyone here has is really impressive. And I also think that a lot of the events we've hosted, like whether it be the job fair we do every year or the wellness day that I think, although we started this year, should definitely become like an annual thing, because like 70 people came to it and there was like a lot of people on the wait list too. I think that so many of those things made such a positive impact that I really enjoyed like working with everyone here, and our subcommittee groups really stayed on top of everything. We were communicating in Slack, and I really hope I can do this again next year too.
So I think this year it was really, really great working with everyone, working in all the subcommittees, like getting to know each other better. I feel like personally for me, and then like, of course, all of us, I feel like all of us have grown a lot, whether it's like skills. I feel like, I mean, before this, I've never learned how to like outreach to different businesses, but I feel like I learned like how to outreach to businesses, how to like teamwork, how to lead a team, like communication in general. Yeah.
I enjoyed collaborating with everyone for different events and getting to meet new people. Like Ellie said, I never would have known how to like communicate with a business to ask for something, but after all of this, I feel like I've learned so many new skills thanks to everybody and everybody's help, so.
Yeah, I had a really good time on the youth commission this year, and I've definitely seen me, as Ellie was saying, grown from like before. I feel like I was more socially awkward, and I feel like now maybe I can talk a little bit better. And I also learned like life skills that I technically won't be learning in school, like, and I felt so much more confidence in organizing an event because I'm also in like dance committee in school. And I really hope I can be on the commission again next year.
Just to reiterate what the four previous speakers said, I feel like I've grown a lot as a person on this commission. And this has been an opportunity to meet new people and like truly understand the inner workings of what the city does.
I think we all have the goal of trying to help people here when we go here and then trying to help our youth, but I think everyone in this room made that goal vibrant, made it fun. So just thank you to everyone.
Yeah, okay, I've learned a lot about myself. Learned a lot about city government, how it works. Also just communicating with others, and also, I guess, just working as a team all together to achieve something.
I also just learned so much. I love getting to collaborate with like a group of people with like-minded interests, but also just such diverse ideas. And then I think like being able to go on events at a larger scale has given me like confidence and life skills to, I guess, like venture out more into the world. And then also just in a professional manner, being able to reach out to businesses, that was definitely something new for me. So I enjoyed getting to work on that.
I was grateful to just get a new viewpoint on all the events and how they're planned out and how we get to do our own thing and work on making them just great for everyone who attends.
Yeah, I feel that having an open view of how events are planned, how they're formatted, and how they're created, not just in our commission, but in the other meetings that we've gone to, right, where we've seen a small peek of how their commission works as a more formal commission. Both commissions, I feel, have really given an insight of how the inner workings of events have like how they created it.
I think that this experience I learned a lot about leadership, and that it also provided a lot of unique opportunities that I would not have had otherwise, such as speaking to city council, and how I led the Pledge of Allegiance at the start of our term. I would hope that in the next committees that we are able to do more, just as Sophie said, to implement some of these events annually, and then they can just keep doing more and more and more, so it builds on itself as the terms go. And it was also really great to meet a lot of other teens in my communities from a variety of age groups, and yeah, that's what I would say. And then our next order of business is gonna be the end of term celebration. And that's gonna be on Monday, May 20th from 7 to 8 p.m. And we want to save everyone to save the date for that. And then we will move on to our old business, which is that the Youth Commission meeting time change proposal, and that we will vote on it, which I believe we still need to do.
Yes, yep. So you can have a discussion as to if, you know, the pros and the cons, if you feel that it's something you want to move forward with for the future terms, or feel that it can stay at some spot. So yeah, I'm happy to, do you want me to go over kind of the pros and cons that had been mentioned before?
Sure.
Okay. Pros, starting a little earlier allows for us to not go as late. Typical meetings for most of the year it goes sometimes almost till 9 p.m. So it would be great by ending by 8 at the latest. Typically, cons would be potentially less time for some to get dinner ahead of time if they have an extracurricular on that date. All applicants for next year know that the meetings may start as early as 6:30 p.m. So that's what had been discussed, I believe. And I think everyone had decided that this would then be the meeting where you vote on either moving it to 7 or moving it to 6:30 or keeping it at 7 o'clock.
Sorry, is it possible to move it like in between like 6:45-ish or no?
I think that's an awkward time.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think 30 minutes are now.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't think we should vote on this topic now.
Okay. So I motion that we leave it at the same time for this.
I second that.
I motion that we do it earlier.
I second that motion.
I say we just all go around and.
Yeah, A or nay, right?
Let's do A for 7 and A for 6:30.
Okay.
Sorry, so A for 7 to keep it at 7, but if you say nay, you want it to be at 6:30.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wait, before we vote though, like, is this everyone's main concern? Either we do it at 7, you have more time to eat dinner, or B, you want to do it at 6:30 to get home early?
That's your choice. I mean, there's.
No, but like, is that the only two things that we?
Yes. that's what you're saying.
Another concern, was the extracurriculars, that some people would not have enough time to get here, or at least not have enough time to go home, shower, change, whatever they wanted before coming. Because I know when I did high school sports, they ended pretty late in the afternoon.
Mhm.
True.
So yeah, so I think, so take a moment to think about it. And so it has been brought up in previous years, like, could we move it to an earlier time? Because if we have a very long meeting, I mean, right now we're already at 8 o'clock and we're not quite yet done. That it can really push the meeting to all the way till 9 o'clock, because we do have our commissioners need to expect to have 2 hours. Prepared to be here for that on Monday nights. And so would 6:30 to 8:30 be a more helpful time for everybody? Or are you like, hey, I think actually 7 to 9 works and it's worked well. And so it's truly what you feel is going to be best. And that's why if we vote, then we'll, be able to go
Wait.
there.
A lot of the times, actually, like, I don't really care if it's late at night, but my parents are the ones that are like, why does it say it ends at 8 when it actually ends at 8:30? So if the expectations were more clear, I don't think a lot of people would have like a problem with it being later. It's just that every time our meetings say it ends at 8, but then it ends at 8:30. So then they're waiting for like half an hour.
Yes, and I mean, out of this group, I mean, how many of us drive here? So I mean, it's a lot, it's usually the parents that are driving us home, and since the meetings usually run later than the time that.
Are you arguing?
Sorry.
I respectfully, it's irrelevant, because no matter what time we start, it's still not gonna end on time.
I understand, but it still end earlier
So I was gonna
than
say,
the listed time.
So real quick, I'm just going to say is that if that's part of the issue was that there wasn't clear enough communication to block off 2 hours, that's absolutely something that will be done with, this next term for those who are interviewing. So again, let's just focus back on, do we feel like what would be the best time for teens in general to start as early as 6:30 and go potentially to 8:30, or be 7 to 9?
Like me personally, I usually finish my dinner at like 6:30. So I feel like having it at 6:30 might make more people late.
Yeah, so a lot of people need time for like homework after extracurricular activity.
Yeah, because I feel like the 30-minute time difference wouldn't impact too much with the later aspect. Like, I remember at one point that was mentioned is that, oh, it's dark, but it's still dark at 8:30. So yeah.
So do you feel like you're ready to vote then?
Harrison?
Wait, is 8?
Sorry.
So
I was for the same.
7 to 6:30.
Aye.
Arno,
Aye.
Chloe,
Aye.
Sophie,
Aye.
Ellie.
Aye.
Jasmine. Sorry.
Aye.
Justin?
Hey,
Sorry, was that a nay or a?
that was a name.
Okay.
Aye.
Aye.
I think it's pretty clear, we're just gonna keep them at 7. But clearer communication on that.
That's like the
usually
only
right.
thing.
Because I don't think, maybe it was on the website, but I don't think that was ever explicitly said to us.
Okay, and that's super helpful to know, so.
No, on the websites, like of all of we got like a really big schedule at the beginning of the year. Every meeting always said it was an hour and a half, and these meetings were always an hour. So like, I feel like if you set these meetings to an hour and a half and the other meetings, like subcommittee to 2 hours, like it just clear up a lot of the expectation and confusion.
Definitely. I appreciate that. Thank you all.
Okay, so our next order of business is that the Youth Commission tree planting project, and that the Youth Commissioners that participated in the tree planting project provide an update for the full commission on experience.
Okay, I was there, so was Mason and Yasmin. So I feel that it was successful, and every time I go running at the track, I can see the 2 trees that we planted together. And according to the person who helped us plant it, he was really nice. He said that in like 10 years, there'll be shade. And he specifically chose those trees because it doesn't need that much water and it doesn't get sick that easily, but also the branches are not very low hanging, so people can still feel like secure running, knowing that there's like no one like lurking behind the leaves. Yeah, no, he said that a lot of the like bushes that he planted, he chose like low shrubs, so like no one can like camp out there
I
and
guess at night
spy
it
on
might be
people.
scary.
It's like, that's kind of creepy if you think about it.
Well, I came a bit late, but I did enjoy I did enjoy planting one tree with Sophie and Mason. It was fun, and I like talking to the guy from the tree planting.
Bob.
Yeah, that's what his name was. I like the experience, and yeah, it was nice.
Yeah, I think it was nice, but I think it would have been a lot more enjoyable if some more people came to the event. Because I think that would have helped.
Okay, then we will move on to our calendar reminders, one of which is the end of term celebration on May 20th from 7 to 8 p.m. Then I believe we also have another city council meeting, but
Where is that?
So I have the updates right here. So Campbell Creamery is where you're gonna celebrate the term. Please meet at the Creamery at 7 p.m. We'll be here until 8 p.m. I know Gracie will send something out, of course, so please let Gracie know via Slack if you cannot make it by the day before at the latest, and she'll send out reminders on Slack. And then, you want to finish?
okay, that's what left. And then on Tuesday, May 21st, we'll have the final city council presentation at 7 p.m. We'll meet at the same place as we have for the last one, to council with the recap of this term. And our chair or vice chair and secretary will be prepared to present on job fair, team wellness day, tree planting, and any final notes we have on this term. And then for those who applied to be a part of the 24 to 25 Youth Commission, those interviews will be the week of May 20th, and Gracie will send out emails to all that applied with more information.
All right. Meeting adjourned at 8:06. Let me stop the recording, but well, hang tight for just one moment before you leave.